Here we are in the 10th session for the Earth and Space Science series of the Knowledge Catalog. We are still working on the 6th learning competency, which you see here, the lower left. Learning competency number 6 describes certain climatic phenomena that occur on a global level. Also, this session is divided into the following parts. So the first part is an activity number 9, CO2 is the reason. And then the second part is a discussion on the environmental effects of the Industrial Revolution. And the last part is activity number 10, am I a climate hero or am I a climate culprit? Okay, so you will know later. That is sort of like a question that you're supposed to answer by yourself. Okay, so I'm excited to find out. What are your habits that makes you a climate hero or a climate culprit? If you want to follow through with your learner's module, you can open them in Unit 3, Module 2, pages 49 to 43. And I can't wait to start this one. Let's begin. Alright, so for the first activity, part of this session is activity number 9, CO2 is the reason. The objective of this activity is that you should be able to interpret the relationship of carbon dioxide and temperature. So you will be needing the following materials, a piece of paper or your science notebook, and a pencil. Okay, so any writing instrument actually may do. Alright, so what you need to do is to interpret the following graph. And so this graph is entitled Global Average Temperature and Carbon Dioxide Concentrations from 1800s to 2006. So I will be giving you a moment to interpret this. You can pause this video for the meantime. Are you done? Okay, so if you're through, I hope that your observations are enough for you to answer the following questions correctly. Question number 1. How much is the increase in temperature from 1880 to 2010? Gaano kataas yung itinaas ng temperature from 1880 to 2010? Pause this video if you need more time. Okay, if you have decided to continue, let us tackle the second question. Question number 2. What happened to the amount of carbon dioxide from 1880 to 2010 based on the graph? Pause this video if you need more time. Next, let us proceed with question number 3. What is the relationship between the amount of carbon dioxide and global temperature? So I would like you to formulate your own generalization, to formulate your own conclusion. So based from what you have interpreted from this graph, what do you think is the relationship between the amount of carbon dioxide and global temperature? Pause this video if you need more time. Let us continue with question number 4. When was temperature at its highest and at its lowest? So it is asking for a particular period or a time, okay, a year, when temperature was at its highest and at its lowest. So yeah, go ahead, pause this video if you need more time in scrutinizing this graph. Okay, let us now proceed with the answers to the guide questions. So for the first question, the answer is 13 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, the answer for the first question is 1.3. I'm so sorry, that's not 13. It's 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Question number 2, the answer is increased by 100 parts per million by volume or ppmv. Ganun karami ang idinagdag na amount of carbon dioxide from 1880 to 2010. Question number 3, the answer is ang amount of carbon dioxide at yung taas ng global temperature, they're directly proportional. So, ibig sabihin nun, kapag tumataas yung carbon dioxide emissions, tumataas din yung global temperature. Kasi nga, they are directly proportional. I remember, If the relationship is an inverse relationship, kung tataas yung isang factor, dapat bababa yung isang factor. Pero since they are directly proportional, kapag tumaas yung isang factor, tataas din dapat yung isa pang factor. That is a lesson that you are always using in mathematics, isn't it? Yes? Let us now proceed with question number 4. The answer is it was highest in the year 2007 or around 2007, and it was lowest in around 1999. Okay. Okay. So check your own work. Yeah. And then record it. Put it on the upper right hand corner of your activity sheet. Okay. Let us now proceed with the next part of this session, which is a discussion on the environmental effects of the Industrial Revolution. This is a really old image. I mean, this image is depicting a really old setting, is it not? Mm-mm. Yung ganyang klaseng mga roofs, ayan, with all of these chimneys. Yeah, so it is, I think, invoking some kind of a negative emotion, right? And if you are living in residential areas, you may not always see factories that are emitting something like this, but they do exist. Okay, they still do exist. Factories like these, okay, itong mga to, na mayroong mga parang towers where smoke, okay, ayan, where smoke comes from, ayan, they exist. They're real. I have seen a couple of these kinds of towers here in the Philippines, in Luzon. Okay, okay, ganyan. In person, you will see yung emission as a whitish emission. Sometimes naman, you will see it as grayish. Pero most emissions may actually be colorless. There was a period in our history when humans are not dependent on the advancements of the industry. We are not fully dependent on the industry for food. We are not fully dependent on the industry for our jobs. Okay, so there was a period in human history when humans are more dependent on gathering food or hunting for food. There were also periods in our history when we have started to develop our communities and we already have formed some kind of trade with other countries, with other barangays, until such a time when technological advancements took a new form. O, dati yung technological advancements na meron tayo they are basic. Okay? And bawa, learning how to cook food, that's technology, but it's some kind of a basic technology. Until the time when cooking food already requires gasoline, already requires petroleum. Dati when we were burning before, we just burn organic materials, like say for instance, yung mga nawalis lang nating dahon, binaburn yon. But now when we burn things, most of what we burn perhaps now, which is illegal by the way in the Philippines, is they're plastic materials. Kung dati ang nagbo-burn lang talaga yung mga communities ng mga basura nila, ngayon napakaraming products ng industry. Napakarami niyang mina-manufacture. So hindi lang basta isang maliit na na fire lang na produce. We are talking about large places that are dedicated for burning. So just think about that. When the Industrial Revolution began, there were more emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases threatened all living things, including us, actually, including us. Both developed and even developing countries such as the Philippines depended on the burning of fossil fuels for energy, which is a non-renewable energy source. We cannot replace it. Okay, once fossil fuel is already used up, you can't replace it. Unlike geothermal, unlike solar energy, those are more sustainable. They are renewable. Okay. This dependence on the burning of fossil fuels increase the emission of carbon dioxide in um, in the atmosphere. Not just we can't just say na in the Philippines because admit it or not, all most parts of the globe right now they are industrialized. They are also striving for industrialization. So yeah, they are depositing that carbon emission into the atmosphere. And also, okay, we also leave some of our carbon footprints into the geosphere on the crust of the planet. We are throwing garbage, like in a landfill, which is also, by the way, part of the geosphere. And that is if responsible tayo actually. Okay? Kung responsible tayo, sa landfill mag-end up ang basura natin. Pero let us admit this, okay? We are having a very big problem in garbage disposal because it seems like most of us are irresponsible when it comes to managing wastes. Um, there are still a lot of people who are very undisciplined when it comes to their wastes. Also, when they're buying products, they buy products na tinatangkilik na ng mga products na nakabalot pa talaga ng plastic, kailangan pang lagyan ng packaging. Okay, so yung talagang gusto lang niyang kainin is right inside layers and layers of plastic materials, right? Okay, so when you are buying from grocery stores, yung paper bag na ibinigay sa you feel like it is an effort that is for the environment. Actually, okay, it takes more energy to manufacture paper bags. So yes, the paper bag may be biodegradable, but the process that led to the production of that paper for the paper bag, it's actually more. Okay? Mas maraming binurn. Mas maraming energy ang kinailangan kasi in the production of paper bags than in the production of plastic bags. Just to come to think of that. So the environmental effects of that, we can say already, okay, it's the global rising of the temperature. And because of that, we mentioned yung mga sinabi rin natin in the previous session na pagtaas ng global temperature, paglala ng drought, paglala ng mga tag-ulan natin, also yung pag-diminish ng polar ice caps, which is destroying yung polar regions and destroying the habitats of polar organisms. Those are just some of the many effects of climate change that is caused by global warming, that is caused by excessive it is caused by excessive trapping of heat by a very thick layer of greenhouse gases. That is also caused by the emissions. That we are contributing into the atmosphere. That is a discussion on the environmental effects of industrial revolution. Now, let us zoom in, okay, on what we are doing. What is our role in all of this? Where are we in all of this? Nasaan tayo dito? Okay, so let us do the following activity, which aims at calculating your personal carbon emission and then taking an action to lessen the effects of climate change. That is the hope. Once you find out the result of this, I hope that you will take action. So what you need to do is to get your calculator. Actually, idagdag mo na ang calculator kung tulad ko, medyo tayo sa mathematics. Okay, dagdag mo na yung calculator. And let us proceed with the following. What I need you to do is i-rate mo yung sarili mo based sa mga statements na to. Halimbawa, do you use water wisely? Lagi ba yan? Sometimes lang ba? Or never? Kapag umiinom ka ng tubig, Inuubos mo ba yung nilagay mo sa baso mo? Kapag ba naliligo ka, halimbawa, you're using shower, tina-turn off mo muna ba yung yung shower kapag di mo pa kailangan? Okay, do you use water wisely? Is that always? Is it sometimes? Or can't you consider yourself as a wise water user? I just put never, if that is the case. Okay, so kung sakali bang always ang sagot mo, okay, i-type mo na dyan sa calculator mo ang 1 point. Kung sometimes, 2 points. Kung never naman, 5 points. Tapos, ipa-plus lang natin dyan yung mga next pang magiging sagot mo. Okay, so let's continue. Next is, I eat a mixture of meat and vegetarian meals. So we're talking about the energy that was used in the production of meat and in the production of vegetarian meals. Marami pang energy ang kailangan para ma-produce ang meat and vegetarian meals kesa sa pag-produce ng halimbawa pizza, ng mga canned goods, ng mga nakapack through plastic. I think about that. Next, we use kerosene lamp, or kung di na kayo nagagasera, you use low energy light bulbs at home. Or do you even care to check? Or baka ngayon mo lang itatanong. Okay, so ilang watts ba? Tama ba? O ilang watts ba ang mga ginagamit niyong bulbs dyan sa bahay? Ano po ba ibig sabihin ng watts? Okay, so are you even concerned kung gaano karaming energy ginagamit ng light bulb mo? Okay, let's proceed. I use basin or palanggana. Okay? Do you use basin kapag nagwa-wash ka ng dishes? Well, pwede actually hindi dishes ito. Sa mga processes na usually ginagamit is running water. Halimbawa, paghugas ng plato. May mga kasi iba na kapag naghugas sila ng plato or may hinuhugasan sila, talagang tuloy-tuloy lang yung water. Okay? Pagka lumabas sa tap, tatama dun sa dishes, tapos magdadrain na kaagad. Okay, madadrain na siya kaagad. Pero yung iba naman sa atin, kinakatch nila yung tubig sa palanggana para hindi siya kaagad madrain. Or do you do that? Halimbawa, naghugas ka naglalaba ka ba? Do you use palanggana or batya? Or halimbawa, kapag naghugas ka lang ng mga fruits, ng mga vegetables, kung madalas ka mag-fruits and vegetables, gumagamit ka ba ng basin? Siyempre, yung water na yun, pwede siyang pangdilig sa mga halaman din. Fruits and vegetables, diba? So, do you save it? This is also connected with the using water wisely. Next, I eat locally grown food. Okay, so yung locally dyan is talagang dyan lang malapit sa inyo, yung nanggaling yung food. Yung iba kasi talaga, tinatransport yung food pa from a very, very far place, no? Okay, kapag yung food kasi, yung gulay, grown siya dyan sa malapit sa iyo, yung energy na kinailangan para ma-produce yun at ma-reach ka ng food na yun is lower kumpara dun sa energy na kailangan para ma-reach ka nung same food na galing sa Baguio. So, kumbaga ganito, kung nagtatanim ka halimbawa ng ampalaya, may tanim kayo ampalaya, or yung ampalaya is ginrow malapit dyan lang sa community ninyo, mas konti yung energy na kinailangan para ma-produce yon at ma-reach ka nun, kumpara dun sa ampalaya na nasa Baguio. Kasi yung nasa Baguio, pareho lang yung ginamit ng energy siguro para maging ampalaya siya. Pero yung energy na gagamitin para ma-transport siya mula Baguio papunta sa'yo, yung gas na gagamitin para ma-burn, na iba-burn para ma-reach nung ampalaya, yung household ninyo, iba. Kaya, do you eat locally grown food? Or mas tinatangkilik ng family ninyo, yung mga nabibili talaga sa Pure Gold, or yung mga talagang mga malalaking supermarkets na ang supply nila ng greens ng food is malalayo. Ayun. Ask your mother or your father or your parents and other parents and guardians. Yan. Ask them. Next, I turn off electric appliances or battery-operated gadgets instead of leaving them on standby. Ayan, daming guilty. Siguro phones exempted, pero halimbawa, yung ano mo, yung talaga eh. Halimbawa, yung laptop mo, hindi mo pa naman siya ginagamit. Wala mo namang dependence on ba? Dependent siya sa battery. Anong gagawin mo? I-fold mo lang ba siya? Or i-shutdown mo siya? Lalo na kung medyo matagal kang mawawala. What do you do? Okay, so, what do you do? Okay, so do you save energy? Alam mo naman, yung electricity na ginamit para ma-charge yan is galing sa mga coal, di ba? Galing usually yan sa coal burning. What do you do? Okay. Next, I use a glass of water when brushing my teeth. Ayan, daming guilty dito. Yung iba dyan, kinakap lang nila yung mga hands nila para makapag-ipon ng tubig. Aminin mo yan. No? Okay, so ang mas efficient kasi talaga na way para makatipid talaga sa tubig is by using a glass. Okay, kung may baso naman ka naman dyan, use it. Okay? Do you do that? Do you do it often? And how often do you do it? Well, siguro nagsisipilyo ka naman, no? Ayan. So, I'm assuming nagsisipilyo ka kasi. So, if you do, how often do you use a glass para mag-toothbrush? Okay. Next, I eat organic foods. Ang organic foods, it means, yung pagkakatanim sa kanya, okay, hindi sila gumamit ng mga artificial fertilizers. Hindi nila ginamitan ng halimbawa, glyphosate, ganon. Hindi nila ginamitan ng mga artificial na abono, ganon, fertilizer. And so, insecticides din, hindi sila ginamitan. Okay? So, as in yung pagkakaproduce sa kanila is purely organic lang. So, kung yung seed mismo, organic siya. Kasi halimbawa, may mga seeds ng ampalaya na hindi na organic. So, kapag yun is talagang, halimbawa, kapag yung inorganic talaga, kapag yung seed na hindi organic na ampalaya is tinanim, maganda yung yield nun. Kasi, parang pang mass production, genetically modified kasi siya. Okay, so, merong mga seeds ng ampalaya na kapag sila yung tinanim, pwedeng hindi gaano maganda yung yield, but that's a possibility. Pero sure ka na hindi siya genetically modified na ampalaya. Okay, so the genetic modification kasi of food and the energy that is used to produce those fertilizers and insecticides, they add up to the cost of the food that you're eating. Alam ko, mas mahal din actually yung organic foods kasi napaka-rare na lang nila and the market for them is so small. It's almost exclusive na lang actually sa mga membership shopping para makabili ka ng truly organic na meat. But how often do you eat organic foods? Okay. Next is, do you use reusable bags when buying things from the market? Dati ang uso talaga, mga bayong. Okay, if you're familiar sa bayong, yung bag na kulay, mayroong pinagtagpi-tagping kulay yellow, red, green, blue, na na parang plastic material na reusable. Matibay at reusable. Okay? Malinaw yun. Do you use reusable bags? Yung mga eco bags, ginagamit mo ba talaga sila? Or once mo lang siya ginamit, nung lang kinailangan mo siya? Ikaw yan eh. Siguro gumamit ka lang ng eco bags, bumili ka lang ng eco bag nung masyadong marami yung mga binibit-bit mo, no? Tapos pag uwi mo, di mo na siya pinansin. Okay, so di naman siguro kalabisan kung makikip tayo ng eco bag, always ready in our cars, always ready in our, siguro maliit lang naman, may mga maninipis na eco bag na matitibay pa rin naman. So, they can be slipped in our bags or they can be put in our GV boxes kung nagmamotor ka. Do you use reusable bags or nanghihingi ka lagi ng extra plastic? Okay, so how often do you use reusable bags? Always? Sometimes? Or was it never? Next, I avoid eating ready meals. Yung noodles, sardines, yung production din kasi ng mga yan, it requires so much energy. Okay, so how often Do you avoid eating ready meals? Do you always avoid them? Do you sometimes avoid them? Or do you never avoid them? Ready meals for life? Okay. Okay, next is I use recycled notebooks and papers. Uy, ugali namin yan dati. O, I'm proud of this, practice. Kami ng mom ko tsaka ng mga kapatid ko noon, yung mga ginamit namin notebooks from the previous year, i-disassemble namin yun. Kasi usually, spiral notebook sila, yung mayroong wire na spiral. So, i-disassemble namin sila. Tapos, kukunin namin yung mga, hindi pa, yung mga fresh pa na paper. Tapos, pagsasama-samahin namin sila. And then, tatahiin namin sila through, gamit yung yarn. Tapos, ayun, may bagong notebook ka nun. No need to buy a new one. Sulit na sulit yung notebook. So, do you do that? Tapos kapag ba sheets of paper, do you always use fresh paper? What do you do? And how often do you use recycled notebooks and papers? Ayan. So next is I throw my biodegradable wastes into a compost pit. O ito, hindi siya gaano familiar ba sa'yo? I-remind kita. Merong practice ng composting. Okay, so pwede siyang magawa by paghuhukay. So pwede kang maghukay lang ng isang maliit na portion lang ng land. Tapos doon mo nilalagay halimbawa yung mga biodegradable waste. Halimbawa yung pinagbalatan ng saging, yung mga pinagpeel ng mga vegetables. Ayun, tapos yung yung iba actually pati yung mga bones nilalagay nila doon. Tapos pati yung scales, nilalagay din doon. Yung mga innards, ayan, nilalagay, yung mga hindi pwedeng kainin na innards, nilalagay din doon. Ayan, tapos, ang mangyayari kasi doon is it will make the land fertile. Okay, so kung halimbawa, hindi ka naman talaga, hindi ka plantito or plantita, at least, hindi mo sinunog yung waste mo. Kasi if you burn it, yung kahit na biodegradable siya, tapos binurn mo pa siya, it will add to the carbon emissions sa atmosphere. So, it's better kung i-burn mo na lang siya kasi organic naman niya. I mean, biodegradable naman sila eh. Ayan. And how often do you do that? Or did you never do that? Ikaw Okay, so next, I replace my toy or gadget when it stops working rather than getting the up-to-date model. Ako, di ako guilty dyan. Kasi syempre, alam naman natin, proletariat tayo. Maralita. Okay, so for some of us kasi, importante na makapag-catch up sila sa new models ng mga gadgets. The production of these gadgets it requires so much energy. Okay? So, there are some of us na kung hanggat hindi siya masisira, hindi talaga natin siya papanuhing palitan. Lalo na kung namimit pa naman niya yung mga needs natin. Like, nagagamit pa rin naman siya pang internet, matinong pa naman siya, like, mabilis pa naman siya, hindi naman siya sobrang bagal, ganun. Okay, so, di pa natin siya papalitan. So, papalitan na natin siya talagang kapag sobrang laggy na niya, or sobrang laggy as in super duper laggy na niya, or kapag nag-stop na siya mag-work. Okay, so are you that kind of person who will only replace their toy or gadgets kapag talagang di na sila nag-work? Okay, if you are that person, then I suggest you go for always. Kung sometimes lang, then 2 points. And then kung never, ikaw yung tipong may bagong release na iPhone, update tayo dyan, never mo yan. Never mo siya. 5 points. Next, I always know where my food or products are made. Yung mga, halimbawa, beauty products na ginagamit mo, yung mga food products na kinoconsume mo, alam mo kung saan sila na-produce. Okay, so, at alam mo na organic sila or GMO sila. Alam mo rin kung anong klaseng company yung nagpo-produce sa kanila. Okay, so may mga companies talaga kasi who are making it to the news kasi meron silang parang may mga ganun. Nag-violate sila ba ng mga environmental protocols, mga ganung klaseng bagay. Ayun, so, yung iba, for some consumers, they're really tracing where the products are coming from. So, are you that kind of person too? Next, I give clothes that I have grown, yung mga di mo nakasya, to charity or to my younger siblings or to your friends. Ako, I do this periodically to freshen up my closet. Yung mga hindi ko na talaga ginagamit, hindi ko na rin kasya, ibinibigay ko na sa mga pinsan ko, yung mga younger pinsans ko, yung mga cousins ko na younger, para magamit din naman nila. Kasi may mga times din naman na gusto nila yon. Also, kung dito wala na talaga makikinabang, we are using them we're cutting them para maging rags, pampunas halimbawa ng mga, syempre, ng mga panlinis kapag um, naglilinis halimbawa ng mga grills, ayun, o kaya ng mga tabletops, okay, pang-wipe lang naman sila, so pwede pa naman kasi may tela pa naman siya. And so, do you do that too? O ikaw yung talagang super duper tapon lang, ganun lang. Okay. Next is I throw my trash into the garbage bin or bag. No need to emphasize this one. Okay? You know what it means. Are you a responsible steward of nature? Next, do you walk if the place is just nearby? Oh, yan tayo. So iba na sa atin nagbabike, which is actually okay na okay lang din naman yon. Pero yung iba sa atin, no, talagang ang lapit-lapit lang, magmamotor pa. Yung iba sa atin, kokotse pa. No? Oo. Okay, so what kind of person are you? Magko-commute ka pa ba kung medyo malapit-lapit lang naman yung lalakarin? Okay. Next is, do you recycle at home? So, do you know what we mean about recycling, ha? Bawa, my mom is a plantita, and parang not really make care, kapag pinaplant na niya, nagpa-plant siya, halimbawa, ng seeds, syempre, kailangan niya ng parang small pot. Okay, so ginagamit niya, nire-recycle niya yung mga disposable plastic cups. Yan, yung mga nire-recycle niya. There were a couple of times not couple of times. Usually kapag galing kami ng Starbucks, yung mga cold drinks, tapos 'di ba meron silang plastic na cup. Ayun, nire-recycle din niya yun. Do you do that recycling at home? Or what kind of recycling do you do at home? Okay. Next is, do you recycle in school? When you were still in school, meron ba kayong mga items na hindi na tinatapon? Kasi alam niyo na pwede pa siyang i-recycle, so you choose to recycle it. Since you are already in grade 9, and kakastart pala naman ng pandemic, nung mga patapos na kayo mag-grade 8, mga grade 7 kayo, early ng grade 8, and then nung elementary, do you do recycling in school? Okay, and then, do you share a ride or walk or cycle on the way to school? Nagka-carpool ba? Okay, so, halimbawa, meron kayong tricycle, ganon. Did you offer a ride to some of your community classmates or schoolmates on the way to school? Para makatipid na lang din sila, and at the same time, lessen the carbon emission that they will also be producing? Did you do that? Or do you walk on the way to school? Do you do that? Or do you ride the bike on the way to school? Okay. Now, what I would like you to do is you have to compute for your total score. Dito tayo magkakaalaman. Okay, so you have to add your points. That's a plural, that's a plural. That's plural. Okay, so add your points together. I'll give you time. Okay, so what point did you get? Now let's see which among the following are you. If you got around 20 to 50 points, you are a green queen or king. You're a climate hero. Congratulations! And you are a globally aware consumer. Very good. Keep up the good work. Congratulations. Now, next one. If your score is between 50 to 80, you've made a start. Okay, but there are more, okay, that you can do to reduce your ecological footprint. May magagawa ka pa. Pwede mong pang-lesson yan. Don't worry. And then, if your score is around 80 to 110, you have a long way to go. So it is so much better if you start now. Ayun, so in our little ways, ayun, so if you heard manok, siguro sinasabi niya na whenever we consume commodities, let us keep this in mind. Okay, so whenever we consume commodities, there will always be this energy requirement that was used up to produce that kind of thing. Be it a good, be it a gadget, or its energy. Oh, electricity. May ginamit na energy para ma-produce ang electricity na yan. Okay, so this is a reminder from Sir CJ, okay, since we're done with these sessions, that we need to be more aware, okay, of the kind of effect that we have to our environment. If we don't start now, if we don't start as in now, okay, if you don't start now, when? When do you start? I think of your generation being a grade 9 student. Think of the kinds of problems you will soon face. Okay, because soon enough you will be the ones, okay, na nasa position na into planning and carrying out the plans that you have for the environment. Now, what will you do to make sure that when that time comes, when it's your chance to lead, what will you do to make that time easier for you? This is the knowledge catalog, and you are done with the 10th session. I'm hoping to see you in the next video. Have a good day.